The Project. Kuwait. Learn. Live.
Meg.
What's up? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Well, to everyone else, this is going to be a belated New Year, but it was a good episode. Hell of a way to start off.
Yeah, I think in January you can say Happy New Year all month.
Oh, yeah.
I think it still qualifies.
And in this new year and in this new episode, you get to listen to the first 20 minutes of us just kind of shooting the breeze and, going back and forth. And then about 5 minutes of pure laughter about me holding my nuts.
You holding nuts, me balls. We get weird.
We do get weird from about minute 20 to minute 30. But Meg gives out some good back pain advice, and sometimes where it starts at, it might not actually be in your movement, but in your wallet. And then we get into supplements and their sourcing. We get into meat and their sourcing. The flour in Kuwait. What could you be eating that's making you bloated and sick? And then
smelly farts.
Yep, we talked about the protein
What do they
farts.
mean?
But more importantly, we also dived into the 2020 predictions for the fitness industry, which was a lot of fun towards the end.
Yeah. Share with us, have a listen, and then share with us what your predictions are for this year in the fitness industry, what you hope to see or what you hope to see go away.
And don't forget to leave us a rating and review, and you may win a t-shirt made in 2020.
Woohoo!
All this and more in today's episode.
So, hey there, Meg, catching up on some sleep.
Happy New Year. Yeah, rough start to the new year for me. Damn.
I know.
New Year's Day. A little bit of a weird back issue. I don't know if it's New Year or just aging. I hate saying that.
We're all getting fucking old. Like, that's it. We're all getting old. Chalk it up to the almighty and just enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I'm fucking sick of people getting Botox, getting fillers, talking about butt implants and fucking facelifts and whatever the fuck else. It's like, dude, take care of your body. Like, if you give me the option for a facelift or like a valve implant, I'm taking the fucking valve implant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking something that will add 5 years onto my life, not make me look 5 years younger when I'm still shitty on the inside.
Yeah, feeling shitty on the inside. Yeah, that's the thing. It's funny, but we were just kind of talking about this a little bit. And I know we've brought it up before, where different struggles and emotions and things will kind of like manifest in the body. And it's just funny that 2019, that's funny. I was just looking, everybody's doing those decade posts, of all their highlights of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think 2018 was definitely my best year. And just looking at all the places like I traveled to, we started the podcast that year. I mean, there was just a lot of really cool. It was like I was running my own business for a year at that point out in Kuwait. There were a lot of highlights. And then 2019, I came back to the States, and then we've just talked about, what a financial struggle and difference that is from living in the States compared to some of the conveniences of living in Kuwait. And that low back area is notorious for manifesting some of those financial emotions. I know when you said when you were building your house, you had low back pain too. And it was like, damn it. I wonder if that's what this is.
Dude, honestly, I firmly believe that pain manifests in the mind. Not to say that pain doesn't happen through injury. It does. But
totally.
I think there's other pain that manifests in your head, and especially when financial pain. You told me about that last year. When I was complaining about my lower back, you were like, well, how are you financially? And I was like, why are you asking me about my financial shit? I was like, it's struggling, man. So like, it makes total sense,
Yeah, I think it definitely can amplify it. I think it's like the volume dial on that pain for sure. If there's a lot of emotional stuff going on, a lot of bad thoughts and bad energy going on, I think it totally turns up the volume on maybe any area that is craving a little bit of attention. For sure.
Maybe you should move back to Kuwait.
That's an option too. I'm not as resistant as I used to be. You can hear it.
Hey, you always have a room. You always have a place to crash at my place. Definitely guaranteed.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
It's totally cool. I'm sure everyone would love to see you back here at some point.
It would be great. And I'll still tag along on your Boston trip.
Oh, you know it.
I'm still crashing that one.
You know it. We're going to New Hampshire next year. Or sorry, Maine.
I can't wait.
We agreed on Maine. We agreed on Maine.
Yep.
Old Orchard Beach. Hands down, we're going to Old Orchard Beach.
Need some saltwater taffies and a lobster roll.
Honestly, like when we first went there, me and Haya went and it was June and it was freaking freezing. Like it was Kuwait winter weather. It was so cold because it's on the beach and the wind and everything. But still walking down the pier and looking at the saltwater taffy stores and just getting that breath of fresh air because you've got like the ocean on one side and then you've got pure, beautiful country on the other side. So like Maine's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of pictures and videos, and people that have traveled there have told me. I haven't heard a bad thing about it. I still have a dream of being like a little farm girl in Maine at some point in my life. I don't know when it's going to happen. Probably needs to happen sooner than later. But yeah, I came across like a little organic farm. When I was living in Kuwait, I found this account on Instagram, and they have like a design element. They do a bunch of flowers, and they put together all kinds of different creative arrangements, but it's like a full functioning farm with livestock and crops and everything. And I'm just obsessed with what they do out there, and they do internships. And so I've been considering that. I was like, I need to get out there and go be a little farm girl for a minute.
I wouldn't blame you, dude. Farming and like just being away from people and in the middle of the nowhere, sometimes it's good. Like sometimes it's quiet.
It is. So we just did this at work yesterday for New Year's Day. If you had all expenses paid, 1 week vacation to somewhere, do you choose the beach, the mountains, or a city? Beach, nature, or city?
That's a good one.
I said nature. I was like, put me in the woods, put me in the mountains, I do love a beach though, but yeah, I think I need like trees and kind of a wooded area around me.
Yeah. Here's the question. Is it like the survivalist show? Like you have to survive out there? Is everything provided?
I think it's just like if you had a 1 week, all expenses paid to somewhere where, where would you go? Yeah. Would you choose like a beach destination? Would you choose a nature destination? Or would you choose I would choose like a national park or something like that, which is probably stupid if it's an all expense paid place. I mean, national parks are pretty much on the cheap end of vacations. I probably should choose a beachy destination or a big city.
Yeah. But dude, nature's beautiful though. Like to step away from it all and just be around trees all day. And like I felt it when we spent a couple nights in New Hampshire. Like it was amazing because, all right, granted there were cars and it was more like glamping where, we were staying in a cabin, we had a toilet, we had a shower, like
right.
But at the same time, like you're still outside.
You can go hiking and you can, I would say that's still like a nature, destination.
Swimming in a river,
like a safari or something along those lines. I think I would want to do something, in the woods.
Yeah, you wouldn't catch me on a safari. Like I ain't getting eaten by no goddamn lions. I'm not getting 36 shots before I go to. Like, dude, one of my buddies went to Africa.
Oh, that's something we can talk about. And that's actually, it was one of my predictions for 2022 is the whole vaccine debate and things again. But of all the places I've traveled, I've been to 25 countries. I've never taken a vaccine that's been recommended before going.
Okay. I'm never drinking.
I've never
drinking.
I've been to Africa like 4 or 5 times. I've never
never drinking out of a cup that you've drunk from. That is not happening. That is definitely not in the cards. Like if you ever drink out of a cup, if I have just finished the worst water of my life, I will not touch it. Okay. And you wonder why you can't eat chicken.
Wow, that's a completely different.
I'm joking.
I wonder
if that had an effect.
If something was going to happen to me, I mean, it would have happened by now if I were to have come down with something.
So you've never had like malaria?
No, never have.
All right.
Yeah, I've drank the water in Africa too.
All right. Were you diagnosed by a Kuwaiti doctor? Like a doctor here in Kuwait?
No. That is funny. Yeah, I've been looking for like a primary care physician here now with having benefits and everything. And that is the struggle of like, how do you find a doctor that you trust? Like, where do you go to find reviews or just finding a healthcare professional that you trust? I mean, it really comes down to like referrals. I think you really have to ask people and then you got to trust, I don't know, I guess what those people go to their doctor for. It's hard. It's kind of a stressful. In Kuwait, I know it was extremely difficult.
That is very true. That is definitely, that is true.
But this was interesting because it was a couple of weeks ago. I was staying with my cousin. She's a doctor in Iowa. And I was staying with her and she was asking me, and she has reached out a few times before of resources of things for a lot of her, clients for like weight gain, especially like going through menopause, but a lot of nutrition stuff for a lot of her people, exercise and nutrition. And she's flat out said it. She's like, in medical school, we don't spend any time talking about nutrition, talking about exercise. Really, like we know it's good. I can tell people to drink water and sleep well and move, and that's going to help. She's like, but I really can't take it any further than that. Like we are not equipped with the information to really guide somebody through that. So I thought that was, it was comforting to hear because, you kind of think sometimes like, oh, if I don't have the credentials, I'm not a doctor. Like do people understand and trust? But it's just interesting to know that in medical school, that I think they're overlooking a big part of what a lot of people do need support with.
Yeah, no, my cousin that I wanted to bring on the show, I mean, he just got out of med school and everything. And he's been bodybuilding for the last 10 years. Like since he was 16 years old, and it's funny because I kind of taught him a lot with bodybuilding when he was younger. And he was sitting there drinking a protein shake. And I was like, dude, you're not worried about your gut health. You're not worried about any of that shit. He was like, no, I know it's bad for me. He was like, I know. he's like, but gains, dude, gains.
Gains, all right.
And I was like,
self-aware.
all right, man. I was like, that's understandable. But then he went on this whole different, like, he just started talking about what happens to protein, how it breaks down, and what the sources are, and everything. And I was like, did you learn that in med school? And he's like, no, man. He's like, look,
No.
I've been doing this since I was 18 years old. So obviously, I read up on it, and then the interest sparks going deeper and digging deeper. And it was funny how he was just talking about the gut health and how it can destroy the gut microbiome if you're taking it from the wrong sources, if it's a shitty company, and that's who I want to get on the show. I want to get Labdoor on the show because Labdoor, they test for arsenic. I never knew arsenic was in freaking supplements.
They're not regulated at all. They can claim that they do anything that they want them to, and there's no regulations on it whatsoever. And they're so good about it too. With when people do become aware of something bad that could be in one of those products, they can change a little something in the formula of it and then call it a different name. And it makes it real hard for people to kind of catch up with it. But there's no regulation on those things. They can make all these outrageous claims of what their product can actually do.
Oh, I know, right? A lot of it's like sugar. It's funny. I bought a 24K thing of fish oil. This was a year ago. It was like the first time I bought a supplement and I didn't do my research on the actual company.
Yeah.
So I buy it, I get home, I'm all happy and shit. And then I find like 16 lawsuits against them for something else. And it was like against the mother company. And they turned the mother company, they shifted off into like 16 smaller companies, changed the labeling.
That's what they do.
And it's like you have to trace all the way back to the source. And it's like, shit, I'm putting this in my body and it's not regulated. No one's monitoring it. There's falsified claims and you can only just trust the source you're getting it from. Supplements are fucking scary.
Yeah. I think the thing that turned me off of the whey protein. So I remember a coach telling me this in college as well. There was only a few brands that he had recommended and I trusted, his sourcing on stuff, but he had mentioned that he said, just be really careful. There's a lot of companies that just use real rotten, terrible pieces of meat and beef and stuff to get their protein content out of it, the way they process it. Like they use like the garbage.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. They're using all the shit, like all the leftover parts from the animals. They're using that to process it. And it's just like collagen, dude. Like they're making a killing with collagen. They used to throw that shit out. And now they're selling it to people as a supplement in the States. And friggin', God bless Whole Foods. Everyone's buying it from there because it's organic collagen. It's like, dude.
It is. It's funny. We went to, my boyfriend's birthday was on Friday and I took him to a place called Butcher and the Boar and it's a smokehouse restaurant and it's absolutely amazing. I had a beef long rib that I think that was smoked for like 15 hours. And then I don't know what else was done to it, but it was incredible. It was like the size of my forearm. It was massive. So, and we ordered bone marrow for our appetizer. And so it was funny. She was taking the appetizer away. And I was like, I don't want to be weird, but can I take those bones home with me? So she loaded me up with a bunch of bones so I could make bone broth.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Great flavor in them. But it's funny. I love seeing bone marrow on a menu. That's always going to be my go-to. When I see that, I'm like 100% I'll get that, especially if it's a locally grass-fed quality restaurant.
Oh yeah. Quality is the name of the game. Right now, quality is definitely the name of the game. Going back to collagen though, like one thing that I knew that it wasn't good for me or wasn't sitting well was, you remember old school protein? And guys always used to joke around about protein farts. All right. Like let's be realistic. We used to, everyone was like, yeah, dude, I got the protein farts, and they'd be all happy. Like, dude, no, that's not a good thing.
If
you're stinking up the gym,
foul smelling farts is not a good sign.
I know. Dude, if you're smelling up the gym and you're ripping ass on your squats, there's something wrong there.
There's something off for sure.
When I took the collagen, and this was from Whole Foods, organic, everything. So I was like, Whole Foods, organic and all that shit. My stomach was just like, I just felt like shit. I was bloated. It was like, it's almost the same reaction I have to foods that don't sit well with me, like nuts and chicken and shit. And I was like, all right, this is like, I'm not taking this anymore. So cut that shit right out.
Yeah. That is something that I think people are confused about, but foul smelling farts is definitely a sign that there's something off in your diet or in your digestive system.
If you really
Get a second look.
Yeah, dude. Like that's how I judge good protein now. Like a good protein that I take.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to name any brands, but the brand that I use was created by this guy who's a physical therapist. And he says it all the time. He's like, I create my brand. My brand is based off of my reputation. He created these supplements. He was like, I only source from the best sources, blah, 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 blah. So when I tried it sat well in my stomach. I didn't have any digestive issues, no protein farts, which was a surprise because it was the first protein that I didn't have wicked bad gas afterwards.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, and I've stuck with it since. It just makes a difference.
Find what you like.
I know. Or like the omega-3 fish burps.
Yeah.
Dude, everyone knows what I'm talking about when I say the omega-3 fish burps.
Yeah,
that means
that's
you got
a
some,
sign of,
that's like you got some foul shit. You got some rotten omega-3s.
It's not good.
Yeah, and they charge top dollar for it.
Fish oil is ridiculously expensive. And that's where it's like, I think we've talked about this a little bit before too. It's get it as much as you can from within your diet before having to reach out and go to a lot of these supplements, just knowing that the industry is so corrupt.
What else is there about like shitty supplements? Dude, I could go on. Like acetyl-L-carnitine. It's a supplement that I always take, or I used to always take. At first, it was seen as a fat burner throughout Hollywood. This was like, I'd say early 2000s, mid 2000s, maybe even 90s. And then I started taking it, not for its fat burning effects, but because it was seen as a nootropic also. Because it was
acetylcholine, is that what you're talking about?
No, acetyl-L-carnitine.
L-carnitine, okay.
Acetyl-L-carnitine. Right. There's L-carnitine, and then there's acetyl-L-carnitine.
Okay.
And the effects that it had was, increased neurocapacity, this and that. And then I found out they give it to people with Alzheimer's and dementia. And it's shown to help. But a lot of the research is on and off. I mean, it shows like minimal to extreme and whatever. Like research is research. But I found it for myself. I focused a lot more. But if I had a cup of coffee or anything with caffeine in it, that's it. I was bouncing off the fucking walls for the rest of the day.
Oh, interesting.
And there was one brand that I was taking. And when they stopped bringing it to Kuwait and I switched brands, it was like the supplement didn't work. It wasn't like my body, I had built something up and I tried microdosing, like taking down the dosage, because the dosage that I originally was taking was 250 milligrams.
Yeah.
And then when I switched, it was 1,000 milligrams per pill.
Okay.
So it was like 3 times the amount or 4 times the amount of what I was used to taking. So I broke the pill in half and I was like, okay, let me do it like this and try and see if I get a different effect. Because I would take 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 at night. So I was taking like 3 250 milligram pills. Yeah. And I thought, okay, maybe it was the dosage. It wasn't the dosage. It was the sourcing of it. That's the ultimate conclusion that I came to, that I was just getting better source from this company versus the 3 other companies that I was trying here in Kuwait. So,
why were you taking it in the first place?
I actually started taking it because I was having fatigue issues, and it helped a lot with fatigue. It helped a lot with adrenal issues. And like, it was just all the research on it when I was looking for something that to give me more energy, a little bit more focus at work, a little bit more focus in the gym and everything. It was that. And plus it had the fat burning side effects with it. So I didn't take it for the fat burning side effects. I took it for everything else. And as an athlete, I felt like a different person when I would take it before a game or whatever.
Okay. So was this like in college days you were taking it?
No, this was recent. This was a few years ago. I just stopped taking it a year ago when they stopped bringing in the brand that I was using. Okay. Yeah. And I wish I had it, especially with CrossFit right now. Because like I would take first thing in the morning. Then I would take it before my workout or before a baseball game or whatever. And it was amazing because like I would kind of be like hyper focused, if that makes any sense. It was almost like drinking 2 cups of coffee, but without the bouncing off the walls.
Right.
I think, but everyone's body reacts differently. And, I'm not a doctor. We're not diagnosing people. So like, don't go.
It's been a year since you've taken it out. Like, do you still feel the fatigue issue, or do you feel like that's gotten better? Or what do you think was the alternative?
The alternative to that right now is coffee.
Okay.
It's just, I've just drank more coffee, I would say. Not a lot more, but I think I've just managed my life better in a better balance. Yeah. My sleep's a lot better. My sleep's a shit ton better than it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. That's night and day. Like versus back then I'd go to bed at like 11 o'clock, wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock. Yeah. Like I was running off of nothing. You know what I mean? So, but now it's like sleep's better, food's better. I don't really supplement with anything unless I feel that I need it.
Yeah, I think that's key though, fixing the nutrition and the sleep, like you just said.
When we talked about that with, what was her name? Mary Sheila.
Yeah.
Mary Sheila Ganella.
Yes.
Yes, Mary Sheila Ganella, queen of all things nutrition.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, man, you're good.
I know, right? I think by the time this episode airs, we'll have dropped that episode.
Drop this, yeah. I was just talking about that episode the other day. I was getting my hair done, the lady at the salon, and she was going on about gut health. She had her gallbladder removed in the last year, and I found myself referencing the episode of Mary.
Oh, really?
Mary Sheila. Yeah.
How was that after she got her gallbladder removed? Like, what has she noticed? Like, what are the changes in her body, diet, digestion?
Yeah. I mean, her liver is like basically working overtime now. So she just has to be really careful about quality and sources of things. She's had a lot of skin issues too. So she's been really focused on gut health and just fixing the microbiome of the gut. You know, the microbiome on your skin is different. You know, the microbiome even in your mouth. So she's been doing a lot of self-research on it, which is pretty cool. But she does just have to be very particular about eating whole foods and better foods, things that can be processed by her body rather than anything that's processed before getting to her. Yeah. But she talked about that too. Like her doctor had given her a couple of restrictions right after the surgery, was like, watch what you eat for these first couple of weeks. And then the only other thing he ever really talked to her about was just like her incisions, like, oh, incisions look clean. They look good and you're good to go. You can basically do whatever you want now. And she was just like, that can't be.
I know. Right.
And so she's been doing a lot of self-research on nutrition and things of what to do to help support that. Because again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, the doctors are, I don't think, equipped to maybe counsel somebody. Not everybody is. I mean, some doctors I'm sure are, but we're talking just the majority. I think a lot of them, he's just, he's a gallbladder surgeon. He's focused on what does the incision look like? How did the procedure go? And then anything beyond that, it's personal responsibility on the person.
I know, right? I know. Yeah. My sister had her gallbladder taken out and she had come to Kuwait for Christmas, I think 2015 or 2016.
Yeah.
And she was complaining, like she used to get this once a year or twice a year where she'd get really bad heartburn and to the point where she could barely breathe. And like, she was in severe pain. So when she came to Kuwait, she had it really bad. And I was like, Melissa, what's the deal? Like, what's causing this? She goes, I don't know. It usually happens when I eat a lot of oily foods or a lot of fried food. So, and I'm thinking in my head, like, that just don't fucking eat fried foods. Like,
don't eat that. Yeah.
Like, your body's telling you something. Your body's saying, dude, stay away from this. Do that. Like, it's sending you signals. Like, I know if I eat more than a handful of nuts, I feel bloated. I feel shitty. I feel lethargic. I know nuts, pistachios.
I call that nut gut.
I love pistachios, man. I fucking love nuts. And it's just, all right, that sounded really bad. I don't love nuts per se, but I love I'm
going to want a sound bite of that. And the next gift just needs to be you just piling pistachios.
I know. Shit ton I love
the
nuts.
Caption, I love nuts.
Oh, dude, that's a good one, dude. That is a good one. I'm going to do that. I will do that.
I will be adding that to all my Insta stories.
I'm so going to do that this weekend. Well, as soon as I move to the apartment across the hall, but I'll definitely do
There you go.
Can't believe I just said I love nuts. I always do that too.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love it.
But yes, I know not to eat it. And whenever Haya sees nuts in my hand, she's like, that sounded bad again. But my wife sees nuts in my hand. All right. But she's always like, Mehdi, are you sure you want to do that? All right. This conversation, I'm done.
It just keeps getting better.
I know, dude.
I was like, how long is he going to go?
I'm just thinking, I'll go deep.
You might just want to call them pistachios.
Yeah.
Call them by their name.
So she sees me eat.
Oh, too good.
Oh my God. I'm kind of tearing up here. That was funny. All right. Yeah. So pistachios. She's like, you sure you want to do that? You know, you're going to regret it later on. Sure enough, I do. Like bloated, feel like shit, constipated for like a day or two. Like just nothing feels right until it gets out of my system. And my cousin, the doctor, was like, yeah, it's just because it probably has a longer half-life in your body basically how long the substance stays in your body until it fully gets flushed out. So yeah, it's just like people, if something doesn't agree with your body, just don't eat it.
It's giving you the signals.
But dude, it's like bread here. And I've had this with, and I don't know if it's something with the wheat or what it is in Kuwait, but I can't eat khubz Irani.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's something in the bread here or something in the flour.
Yeah, there's definitely been a few places like I've like felt like a hangover the next day after having like my eyes get puffy almost and like my face feels like swollen in a way. And I feel like hungover. I've definitely had that effect after, eating out at some grills with the bread. Yeah.
Right, dude. It's not just me. Like, is it molded bread? Like, are they just serving us like, is it molded wheat or like flour? Like, what's the deal?
I don't know if it would be molded or if it's just something that I don't know. It's weird because it looks like it's incredibly fresh. But yeah, I don't know. The best way I can describe it is I've only gotten that I know after eating out at some of those grills and having that bread. And the next day I feel like I have a hangover and my face is like swollen.
All right. So good. Yeah. I'm glad it's not just me. I know when I eat it, when I have bread in Saudi Arabia. All right. Yeah. When I have bread in Saudi Arabia, I have no effect. Like, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm completely, I could eat as much bread as I want and I'm totally fine.
No problem.
Versus in Kuwait, I can't eat bread unless it's like brown bread, but I always limit myself to like 2 slices or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, dude, they're putting fucking something in the food here. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, there was a little Iranian grill down the street from my first apartment that I had in Kuwait. And we didn't know the name of it. So we all just called it Shabab Grill.
Where was it? Like, where was it?
It's no longer there because they tore that whole building down. And
what are you doing with a softball? Like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, you got a softball. And then I just see you going side to side. Like, what is going on over there?
I'm just trying to release some of the tension in my backside. I'm just rolling on a softball. I've got it like in the back of my thighs and on my butt.
All right.
You've got a handful of nuts over there. I've got a softball in my butt. We're just a mess this new year. Sorry, it's like the only thing that keeps like, I don't know, I'm just shifting positions sitting on the floor.
Oh my God. I just hope
the only thing that keeps my back from like pinching up.
I hope people are laughing with us at this point and just like, not like, I've shut this podcast
How did you see that? Did I pick it up? I must have not even realized it when I was shifting the side. I'm like, how did he even notice?
Like, I saw you pick it up and then I just see it disappear. And then you're kind of like hovering and shifting side to side. And I'm like, what the hell's going on, dude? Like, what is up?
Well, so a good at-home mobility tool is a softball.
See, I go with a baseball. I like the baseball because it's a little smaller, so I can
that's true.
Pinpoint and target a little bit better.
Yeah.
So
typically what I use the softball for is for like psoas. So I'll lay on it, like on my stomach in between the ribs and the hips there, and I'll do some breaths over it. But it's just what I had close to me right now. And I don't know, like I feel like a little knot in my bum. I'm just trying to roll them out.
All right. So everybody, just so everyone knows, Meg is actually practicing what she preaches as she is doing the podcast. Oh my God, dude. That's awesome though. That is hilarious. Awesome. But dude, honestly, like a lot of people chalk getting things like that done by not having the right equipment. Like, oh, I need, I need a roller. Or I need this. I'm like, dude, all you need is a softball or something that mimics the shape of a ball or something hard.
Right.
You can just hit that, that pain area and wait for that release.
Yeah. The thing is, I mean, it's something like you do it and it releases and it feels great. And then you wake up the next day and it's closer to, where it was in that point of pain than it is without. It's something you do have to stay very consistent with. And I think opening it up with a tool like that and then using some movement and strength exercises to help get your body to hold yourself in those positions and understand, that it has access to those ranges, I think is very important. So it's definitely not something just to use on its own. I think that's where people get confused is they just smash their body in workouts and get real tight and then just want to roll around aggressively on a ball or a foam roller and nothing really releases with it. So it's being smart about the programming, the strength work that you do along with it.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you just do more damage than you do good. Like
totally. Yeah.
With everything, there's a balance. It's like I was talking to someone the other day and I haven't told Teo or, my coach this or anyone, but I'm going to tell this to the whole world and you. My bicep tendon's been flaring up again. So I'm getting a lot of pain through here in the shoulder area and like right where the insertion is for the bicep.
Yeah.
I know it's bicep tendinitis. Like I'm 100% sure of it because it's happened to me before in the past. It happens because all of a sudden my bicep and something else is overcompensating for something that I'm not working as much.
Right.
So do you remember Tim, the WOD doc?
Yeah.
WOD doc, he gave me the best fix for my bicep tendinitis and my brachialis tendinitis. He was like, just do 3 times a day, 20 controlled bicep curls where you can hold the tension all the way down and all the way up. He was like, just make sure you hold that tension to get all those muscles firing up. I swear to God, within 3 weeks, boom, it was just gone. Like my bicep was fine. I had no issues after that.
Yeah.
And I asked him afterwards, I was like, does this work for other things? Will this work for forearm pain? He was like, look, just find what works for that pain. And for forearm pain, for me, a lot of reverse wrist curls was like just getting that wrist mobile again. And people forget, they're like, doctors will say, don't move, but you need blood. You need good blood flow circulation into those muscles and into those joints again.
Totally. And even if it's an issue on the right side, still moving the left side is even going to help support that. So whatever limitations you have on one side, keep moving. If it's an upper body injury, keep moving your lower body. If it's a lower body injury, keep moving your upper body. I definitely would agree with that. But I'm a huge fan of focusing on the eccentric. I think any kind of mechanical issue or pain issue that I've had in a lot of my like major lifts or is seeing like a drastic change in my strength, a lot of that came down to slowing down the movements. Like push-ups, for example, I used to always push real hard with my right side. I was always compensating. And the only way that I could even that out was starting to do push-ups on the eccentric. So going like a 7-second descent on my push-ups, focusing on that downward motion. The up is actually the easy part. It's controlling it on the way down. That's a struggle. And I did that with my pull-ups, my dips, my push-ups. I did it from the bars, from the rings, from all kinds of different devices. And the more you can play around with that in different planes, it's that downward motion is the key.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's like pull-ups. Like I hate bands. Personally, I really hate using bands. I'd rather use a slow eccentric descent to teach my body how to do a pull-up and gain that strength from a negative pull-up versus using a band and doing 20 pull-ups and not really gaining that much strength. You know what I mean? Because it's a different type of strength. It's a different stimulus at the end of the day. And the eccentric part's where you build the most muscle. It's been proven by science that in that eccentric descent, that's when your muscles tense. That's where you're building everything out. As I'm doing this with my tiny bicep, that friggin' hurts. And I'm just like, oh, that kind of feels good right now. But,
so have you started working those in again, knowing that it helped you last time, or is it still helping this time?
Yeah. What I'm
haven't done it yet.
doing now is because I noticed the pain starts from where the insertion is and it's starting to go down, which now it's getting to that phase where I'm like, all right, I got to start fixing it. It's almost like my brachialis is flaring up again a little bit too. So I'm going back to my new warm up at the gym is like stretching out all that crap. And then I go over to the cable machine because I can control the weight versus using a band where I can't control the weight.
Smart. Right.
So I'm using that to just kind of do some tricep push downs, do some bicep curls and just get the blood flowing, get the muscles activated a little bit. It's more of an activation technique than anything else. And it's something that personally works for me because I do that before the workout. Pain's gone for a good 20, 30 minutes. And then but towards the end of the workout, like when shit starts to go wrong and you start compensating with this muscle over that muscle, that's when the pain kind of creeps back up. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
But just activation before, and activating my rear delts, doing some face pulls, that just does wonders for everything. Because,
That's a great one.
Yeah, face pulls are friggin' where it's at, dude.
Yeah, I throw those in. Whippets is another one. We'll have to throw up a video of that one, maybe.
Whippets?
See, but Whippets, it's
I used to do that at parties. No, actually, I never did a whippet. I never did a whippet.
I never did it.
In all honesty, I never did a whippet. That's probably where all my brain.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, dude. No, I never did a whippet. But I knew guys at a party that were doing whippets, and they gave whippets to a dog.
Oh no!
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like it was pretty sad. I mean, the dog freaked out. Like. Really freaked out.
That makes me really sad. No.
Well, they gave it beer too, so.
Our dog used to, our dog growing up, I think she used to love beer. She would like purposely knock over bottles just to lick up stuff. It was so funny. Every time we had like neighborhood parties and stuff, she was out there knocking them all down.
We're going to title this episode Meg's Alcoholic Dog.
No, but that's a whip it to a dog. That's animal cruelty. That's me.
I know, dude. I totally agree with that. Like, it wasn't me. It was these guys. And I was like, what the hell are they doing over there?
What
is a whip it,
show
though?
On, a whip it, like the stretch?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to tell people if they don't know what a whip it is. I don't want them getting curious trying it. But the stretch, yes. So it's with a band. And basically you do like a shoulder dislocate where you like bring it behind you.
Oh, yeah.
As wide as you can. And so then you never let your elbows bend through this. But basically you let that band pull you back so those shoulders are retracting. And then you pull against it and you protract as hard as you can, like reaching for a target out in front of you and then squeezing back. So it's just going back and forth from retraction to protraction with the resistance of the band. You basically just fight against gravity through it, but it feels amazing for activating a little mobility in the T-spine and shoulder strength.
That's the first thing that I do before I start working out. It's funny you mentioned that. I didn't even know it was called, but I did it once because I used to do it with a PVC pipe. I was like, let me do it with a band and kind of add a little bit of a give back tension type of deal. And it friggin', that's my go-to. As soon as I start working out, that's the first thing I do.
It feels good.
Yeah, it feels great. And like all my
I'll make a little video of it tonight and then we can post that one up on the Instagram maybe for people.
That would
give
be
it a try
awesome.
if they haven't done it.
That would definitely be awesome. Dude, should we get into our predictions? Like we're 40 minutes into the episode. We haven't talked We haven't talked about any predictions. Hold on, let me take my hat off. Sorry, my hat's like, it's small on my small ass head. I bought it in the kids
Your hair
section.
looks like it's getting long.
It's pretty long. I haven't gone to the barber. I need to go. It looks weird as shit and it just doesn't. I feel like Fonzie, the old guy.
That's amazing. As soon as you said that, I was like, yes.
Like, I guarantee you, like, I don't even think any of our listeners would understand a Happy Days reference.
Maybe not. Well, we should throw up a picture of Fonzie next to you then for the next
I know, right?
post as well. Yeah. You have to be doing the thumbs. Hey.
I know, right? Dude, with the leather jacket. I actually have a leather jacket in the cupboard behind me. Do you know Ali Shukr? Have you ever met Ali Shukr?
I haven't.
All right, he was on the show. We did an Arabic episode together, and wicked nice guy. One of the nicest CrossFitters I ever met. And he gives me so much shit. So the best lift of 2019, I don't know if you saw that post that everyone was posting up.
What was it?
It was like you post your best lift and then you nominate a bunch of people after that.
Oh, yeah. I saw, Asma, I think, had tagged Haya and some stuff.
Yeah. So, So I got tagged by Jossam, and my best lift, of course, was me lifting DJ up because I'm that type of person. I'll sentimental and shit. And I nominated a bunch of people, and then the next day I see Ali Shukr, who had nominated a bunch of people and who had tagged me and nominated me in something. Plus 400 years, Mehdi Al-Aoun and Munir. And I'm like, really, dude? Like, you call me old all the time, dude. Like, he sent me a message. He was like, dude, you beat so-and-so, and you're 400 years older than him. And I'm like, really, man?
Oh, my God.
So...
Smart ass.
Yeah, I know, right, dude? Let's talk about 2019. Do you want to go into the Instagram? Well, the Instagram feedback, or do you want to give
the responses?
Do you want to throw out your major prediction for 2019?
Go through the Instagram ones first. I don't know that I have any major predictions for 2019 until we get talking. Then I'll probably
right when we get into it.
Yeah.
All right. New bunch of excuses for the lazy ones.
From the lazy ones, what kind of excuses do you think? What do you think is going to be like the number one excuse?
Oh, I couldn't get it on Instagram. I think that's going to be it. I couldn't see it on Instagram, or I couldn't gram it. I couldn't gram it.
Gram it. Yeah, that's totally one. If it's not on Instagram, it doesn't exist. No, I think. How about when anybody who's setting like their New Year resolutions and New Year's goals, like how long until they drop off?
Oh yeah, I mean this is going to drop by week 2 of January, week 3 maybe. So by the time this episode
we'll
drops,
probably be catching them right at that time.
Yeah, this is when the peak season goes down at the gym and memberships ended, like the golden 2-week period of all the New Year's resolution newbies coming in. Like
March and April were always big months.
Yeah, it's because of Beachbody.
Increase in membership.
Beachbody. They want that Beachbody again. And then New Year's, it's the resolution. Well, guys, hey, guess what? I've been saying this for a year. Resolutions don't work. Just go and do it. Yeah, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Just go and do it. Like I kept saying every year for like 10 years, I was going to quit smoking on a Sunday or quit smoking at the New Year. it never happened. I actually quit smoking on a Monday, and it was like in November at like 7 a.m. in the morning. After I had lit a cigarette, I was just like, this is freaking gross. Put it out. And I was done. So, but it was amazing. A mindset that I had for a year of wanting to quit. And it's like now, like when approached you for the podcast, I was like, let's do it. And we were all talking and like, all right, what are we going to do about sound stuff or whatever? And I was like, oh, I already bought it. The next day. It was like, I just go and do
action.
It. Just get it done. Like
action.
That's what it comes down to.
Any little bit. It breeds more motivation for sure.
Yeah, I think a new excuse will be traffic.
Oh God, that's always an excuse out there. Traffic. I know.
How much
you can park far away, guys?
I know, right? How much did that piss you off when a client would say, "Oh, I can't make it because of traffic," and you miss out on like that hour?
I mean, luckily, I had really great clients. Like my clients didn't miss their sessions. They didn't want to, which was good. So yeah, that was never really an issue of like maybe starting, a few minutes late here and there. If I was traveling to them, I mean, I would make sure that I had my stuff spaced out enough to where that wouldn't be an issue. But yeah, no, I rarely had people canceling on me. I had enough loyal clients to where I could even devote my Thursdays were technically a day off, but I kept it as like a float day, an open day in case anybody needed to cancel throughout the week. They had that day to make up their session that week. And most people took advantage of that, either to book an extra session or just to move around whatever they needed to throughout the week. Like I wanted to be flexible for them. But yeah, luckily I didn't get traffic. And at the gyms though, that was just when I was personal training. At the gyms though, people coming into class, we had like a 10-minute cutoff when you can join in class because you probably missed the instruction and the warm up by that time. And so we had people all the time with traffic excuses. We're like, traffic sucks. Like, plan for it.
I know, right?
Don't book yourself for the 4:30 class if you get out of work at 4. You can't get anywhere in a half hour.
That is so true.
Wait.
Dude, you're lucky you're not here. Traffic is a lot worse. It's horrible. It is god awful. Like I used to like going the other way in the morning, but it's just as bad. Like it is just as bad. If I leave after 6:15 in the morning, I'm hitting traffic. I have to be out of my door by like 5:45, 6 a.m. tops.
Brutal.
All right. So more awareness on the
road. Right now, the excuse is snow on the road, traffic. That's our excuse right now.
Yeah, but dude, you don't fuck around with snow. Like I know. Like
and
snow
it doesn't go away until May. So that's the new excuse over here.
Yeah, dude, like snow totaled 2 of my cars just because I was an Arab driving in snow for the first time. And guys, like learn how to drive in especially if it's rear-wheel drive, because you will have no control whatsoever.
You can't have rear. That's why I had to get rid of my car because I was rear-wheel drive. It was a day like even rain rear-wheel drive. I won't handle it. Yeah, you cannot live in a snowy state and have rear-wheel drive. Yeah, not at all.
I wish I knew that before I bought my car because it just it just sat there dormant all winter after I crashed it. Like it sucked. All right, so more awareness of the real cause of not losing fat. Tip: your hormonal system.
I hope that's a trend that catches on in 2020. I hope people become more aware of that. Yeah. I think for people understanding that your hormones are what dictate everything and that entire load is what your body's going to be responding to. I'm all in for that one. I hope that's something that catches on. I don't think we're quite there yet, but
yeah. No, I agree. I think a lot of things come down to genetics and how your body does things and in what way you store fat, build muscle, however it may be. But at the same time, and everyone's different, at the same time though, I think we do have that ability as human beings to manipulate our genetics. And when we wake up our epigenetics or we try to break the mold, our body wants to stay at what it knows. It's homeostasis weight. For me, it's around 87 kilos. That's where I really struggle to break. If I want to lose weight, it takes me forever to get past 87. Once I drop down to 85 to about 82 is easy. Like it's easy for me to get down to there. But 82 and lower, oh my God. Like I have to starve myself. It just doesn't work.
Rough, yeah.
But my maintenance at 82, 83, I can maintain.
Easier.
Yeah, I can maintain with like around 3,000 calories, probably with what I'm doing in the gym now, like around 4,000 calories. I could probably maintain around that. But I don't want to get that low. Yeah, that's not my goal. Like, but I think genetics, yes, it plays a part. But what you put in your mouth plays a part too. And what you're doing in terms of activity and everything and taking those steps forward.
Yeah, I think the best I've heard it explained is that your genetics set a range of, really what's possible on either end of that spectrum. And then it's your lifestyle choices that determine which end of that range you're going to fall on. So it's not 100% to blame. It is real. It is a thing. There's definitely a part, but there's a lot more control, I think, that we have over it than what people believe.
100%, dude. And it's like the guys that are like, oh, dude, I just can't, I have no more strength gains. And they're relatively newbies. Like they haven't been doing it for 10 years where, their strength gain would be 1 pound. You know what I mean? Where they would fight a year for that pound. But you got to push yourself. Like you got to get uncomfortable.
And that's part of a thing too. If it's someone who's, you mentioned them being a newbie, if that's the case, like when you're learning something for the first time, almost like every time you walk into that gym, it's basically a PR.
Yeah.
And you get used to that for almost like your first year, it's like every day seems to be a little bit of a win. And so when you do get to that point where some things maybe catch up, like mechanic or stress and other sleep and other habits and things, like then, you're going to hit a point where something's going to have to change.
No, 100%, dude.
That's a range. Yeah.
And then more kids PTs, less play, more business. All right. All right. Can I take this one? Because this is something that drives me up the freaking wall, dude. All right. Seriously. Parents and trainers. Okay. Kids need to be outside playing. Like a playground with jungle gyms and shit and like stuff they can hang off of and jump off of and get in the sand, roll around barefoot. DJ goes to a playground. We go to the Marouge playground as much as possible because it's clean, it's well maintained. He can take his shoes off in the sand, the sand area, and we don't have to worry about him stepping on glass or whatever. But like, I want him to do that. I want him to get dirty. I want him to get exposed to those germs and everything because that's a part of being a kid. And it's sad that my 5-year-old can do monkey bars and 8, 9, 10-year-olds can't. It's a sad thing when I see that. And when I see kids standing and you just look at their posture from below the waist and their knees caving in, their feet pointed in, their ankles caving in. It's just like these kids are just sitting down watching TV all day and barely playing. And if you think you can take them to the gym for 1 PT, 2 PTs a week and think they're going to be athletically gifted or lose a bunch of weight and whatever, look, that's 45 minutes or an hour. Say it's 60 minutes. That's 120 minutes of exercise in a week. That is nothing. That is absolutely nothing to compare to when I was a child growing up. My mother used to have to fight with us to come back
back inside.
Right?
I know. Yeah, same. Yeah, it's when the street lights come on, you got to come back in or at least, get back to the block, get back to the neighborhood. But otherwise, we were on our bikes and running around playing games all the freaking time. I mean, that's part of like Minnesota too, when you had weather where you could be outside. It was like, but even in the winter too, you just bundle up and you just get out there and we were out there all the time. But that's, so the second project that we had when I came to Kuwait and was working with Circuit, we did the women's gym. And then we had a kids program. So in the building that they're in, that was the 2nd floor, 3rd floor, and 4th floor is what we had. And the 2nd floor was a kids program. And we ended up, we had it around for like a year or so. We ended up getting rid of it because we just realized too, like the education just didn't really need to start there with the kids. A lot of it was with the parenting and the expectations.
100%.
There. We could have these, but that's what it was, is like they would drop the kids off and it was just like a babysitting hour. But then also like we had 9, 10-year-olds in there that like didn't know how to tie their shoe. They would literally step their foot out and the nanny would get down and tie their shoe. We had stairs that we would run. We do this with our adult classes too, but with the kids, you play games and you go out to the stairwell and we try to get in some stepping and running. And the struggle that kids had to even do the pattern of stairs was shocking. This is like stuff we just weren't prepared for. We were just like, what? Like, are you kidding me? And so you play games and you try to make it as fun as you can for them. But at the end of the day, like they need to be outside. I 100% agree that they need to be out of 90-degree walls. They need to be out in the fresh air. They need to be experiencing and playing and creating their own games, not doing what somebody tells them to do.
Yeah.
I think they definitely need that creative expression. And then the other part of it too is like you get parents that would walk in at their kids and they'd be standing at the front desk and, want to know what programs we have. And right in front of the kid, they'll just say things like, well, he's fat. He needs to lose weight. And I'm just like, that's your 7-year-old.
I know, right,
like,
dude?
What are you saying to him right now? Like there are so many parents I wanted to take out back and just smack around for a minute and just be like, listen here, this is not your kid's fault. This is...
No, I know. And look, I still coach baseball. Like I still do PTs in baseball because I believe it's a skill and whatever you could do to enhance that skill is worth it. And I told the parents straight up, like one of my clients, I told the parents, I said, look, your son's playing, baseball. He's practicing something that's a skilled game 3 times a week. Well, guess what? That's not enough. I was like, they have to work at home. They have to do this stuff at home. What they do with me is 1 hour a week. And then if they go to practice and their coach sucks and he reinforces bad habits, everything I did was washed away unless they do the small drills. And I always give them one drill as their homework for 15 minutes. Because just I know, I'm like, just focus on that. And it's the simplest thing as taking a ball, throwing it up against the wall and catching it. Like, that's it. That was one drill I always give kids. And it's just like, and they're like, well, how do I get better? And I'm like, play baseball. Like, that's the best way to get better is get a stick, play some stick ball. You know what I mean? But when they're like, oh, we have to study for 3 hours and we have to do this. My question is, all right, well, how much time did you spend playing Fortnite or watching TV? Like, oh, no, we only play games for an hour. I'm like, okay, well, instead of playing games for an hour, get outside, play baseball.
Go play. Yeah. And that's the attention and the focus, I think, in school work too. I think a lot of kids I trained two teenage girls before I had left Kuwait. And there was a lot of pressure and focus. I think that one in particular had put on herself for school. And I think a lot of that came down to the confidence of, she was smart. She was a smart kid in class. She was overweight. And I think that that's the one thing she felt like she could control were her grades and her good effort. And that was the thing that she was always praised for. And I was just thankful that she had parents that were like, listen, like, we're not putting this pressure on you. Like, if you get like a B in your class, we're still proud of you. We just want you to be healthy and be happy. And there was a lot of mindfulness coaching on that side with it. But I think, the problem, kids don't need to be going to a PT. There needs to be like more play groups and more outdoor adventure opportunities, I think, for them to get outside and just create their own games and play, and social interaction, social skills. Like, that's the other thing too. Like, there's a lot of awkward adults out there.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's probably from like a lack of getting outside of even family relationships and just building bonds and friendships with people outside of who they're with all day. So I don't know.
Dude, but the school excuse, like, I'm sorry. And this goes out to every kid that I coach that is listening to this show and gave me the school excuse. Megan, what was your practice schedule like when you were in high school in the States?
We had like 3-hour practices after school.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Anyone who uses the school excuse, like, go, you're full of shit. Okay. Because you guys in the States, it's right after school at high school. All my buddies.
Yeah.
And even with college baseball,
hour between school ending and having to be in the water. Yeah.
Dude, college baseball practice started at 4. We usually finish classes at like 2:30, maybe 1 or whatever. So it was literally grab something, go to practice. And we had practice 3 times a week plus 2 games. So that was baseball 5 times a week.
5 times a week.
And you were expected to maintain your GPA and maintain your level of play. Whereas here, parents are like, no, school's first. Well, you know what? If your kids are active, it bleeds over into school. It teaches them different skills, in my opinion.
It totally does. It teaches you time management. It teaches you some discipline. It definitely does. That was the biggest takeaway from athletics.
All right. So the next one was from one of our buddies who was on the show. I won't name his name because we usually keep the Instagram stuff off. But he just wrote Saudi Arabia. And I agree 110 friggin' percent. Not only are they booming as a country right now by changing all their laws and opening things up and doing things differently, but they're hosting the Sand Clash in February. I'm doing the qualifiers right now. I don't know why I signed up for it, but I know, right? The first place prize take home is 15,000 riyal, which is around 1,500 KD. First place, winning first place. And
that's insane.
The 500 riyal event win, cash prize.
So, like, who are they expecting as participants? Because it's going to be really hard for expats to get in on this, wouldn't it?
They're doing the same thing where male individuals is GCC or whatever, but teams is open. And no, I mean, right now, Saudi Arabia has made it easier to attain visas. They've made it easier to do a lot of things. Yeah. So they sent out 15 invitations. They have 15 invitational invites, apparently, and the cut's 25 athletes for the open thing. So it's going to be...
the competition is just a pool of 25 people, and the top person takes home 1,500 KD?
Yeah. 25 people plus the 15 invites. So 40 people altogether for each category.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
that's awesome.
I mean, I told...
do you know who else is doing the qualifiers? They're signed up? Are there any big names going?
Nasser Rouayeh out of CrossFit Kuwait's going. He's a big name.
Okay.
He's really good. He was the guy that was in WWE. Ali Jamal's in. I think Ali Jamal is a rising star. I love that guy. Nicest guy I've ever met, to be honest with you. And he's one hell of a CrossFit athlete. He destroyed a workout. He was like, yeah, you're doing good. I was like, dude, I was only 120 reps behind you, man.
Oh my
He was like,
God.
I like the movements, but he's going. I think Bedel Chemis is going. He's a good CrossFit athlete. A lot of good
Nice.
Umde was invited. I saw him accept the invitation. He's going to go clean house over there.
God, I love Amda, but he was the biggest pain in my ass when I was managing him.
Really?
Just because pay sheets, he just like with his personal training and pay sheets and stuff, never wanted to double check his work. And I always had to do it for him. And I was just like, God damn it. Every time I'd always have to hunt him down to do his payroll. But he's a good guy. And I can't blame him. It was, a little bit of a language barrier with some of it too, but God, he got emails from me all the time.
We'll get into gym management. Like, I got to talk to you about that. We definitely got to talk. I got to tell you my story from today. So basically, it's a big payout. It's going to be a pretty big comp. I think Saudi Arabia is trying to make their mark, and I think they will. And they're probably going to start to turn out better athletes than we have here in Kuwait, because like people aren't as privileged over there. And a lot of the times you see the people that have less privilege are the ones who make it in sport because they work harder.
A little harder.
That's just how it goes. You look at all the greatest athletes, a lot of them came from poor backgrounds.
We used to, in the beginning, like them wanting to bring their concept over there, and particularly for women in fitness. So I think that might be a big scene that's going to come up in Saudi as well. The women's fitness scene.
Oh, no, they have. They just introduced Orange Theory a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of coaches.
Exciting.
A bunch of coaches from Kuwait left Kuwait to go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So,
God, I don't know. I thought about that. I'm like, if I ever got offered something in Saudi, when I was out in Kuwait, and I'm like, if they wanted me to go open up a place or something out in Saudi, I don't know. I couldn't come up with a number of how much they'd have to pay me to live there.
Dude, but it's not bad. It's not bad anymore.
Really?
No, it's like, I get it. I get what you're saying, but it's really, they've opened up the country so much. Like,
that's interesting. Yeah.
They had Christmas trees in malls. Like, dude, they were a little more open than Kuwait was this year. Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Like, they had a rave apparently a month ago or something. Like, they had a bunch of like the best DJs or something. I don't know. Like, they've been doing a lot.
Huh.
I know they've been doing a lot of work on tourism and trying to get people into the country.
In what year did they legalize alcohol?
I think they're going to, I honestly think that, I don't think we're far away from them legalizing it. Like, I think.
You don't think so?
No, I think they'll do it. I think they'll do it in select locations and areas.
Right.
Just because I think.
Keep it kind of contained.
Yeah. And they're realizing, I think they realize, hey, we're missing the boat on Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, and whatever else. So we need to bring in some of the Americans and everyone. They have tourism. They could have a historical, like history stuff. No more coaches, only athletes.
No more coaches, only athletes. No more athletes, only coaches.
Sorry, no more athletes.
I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, I feel like everybody's trying to be a coach.
I know, right? All right, my bad. I know, right? I think I read too much into the question. Yeah.
Yeah. I think anybody, once they kind of get past that breaking point or that peak of it being, it's done something big for them, a lifestyle change or something, they want to start sharing that with other people and they want to start kind of getting into the coaching realm, which I think is, I don't know, I think everybody has something to offer, but as far as like, I don't know, who can be qualified to be a coach, I think that just comes down to like, I guess, who you vibe with. And then as far as like an education or a background goes or certifications, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence of what's required of somebody to be a coach. I think experience is definitely key. I think there's a lot of people running around with certifications that don't have any of the experience. I think there's a lot of people running around with a lot of the experience that don't have any of the certifications. So I see that as more of like, I think people wanting to share what's really helped them and wanting to help others with that.
Which there's nothing wrong with, I think. Like, I've been trying to talk Hay into coaching just because she's done it from the beginning. She's been doing it for 2 or 3 years now, where she knows how to get a beginner started. And I think if you can get a beginner start with the right steps of doing the mundane, boring things or whatever, and you're that type of coach where you'll say, hey, I'll get you started. I'll take you to this point. But until I'm confident enough that I can bring you past that point, I'm going to pass you on to someone else. And I think.
Yeah. And I think that's great. I think that's knowing exactly that of like, how can you guide somebody or take somebody, like knowing what you're qualified to do to help that person and then knowing when it's past you, or it's just out of your realm. I know I get working with mindfulness, you get people sometimes coming in with like mental health issues. And I'm like, listen, I'm just not equipped to deal with that type of personality disorder. Like that's not my area. So I think it's just definitely knowing that's responsibility on the coach for sure. And on the athlete, I think just to do their due diligence and who they're working with and being clear about their goals and expectations.
No, I know. It's something that drives me nuts. And I coached baseball for 15 years. I didn't call myself a coach, like a good coach, until after year 8 or year 7.
Yeah.
That's when things like you'd see the same problems reoccurring. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'd see, and if you get if I see a kid that throws, 3/4 all the way out here, I have one drill that fixes it after 3 practices. And it's the easiest drill in the world. I keep it simple. It's not talking to them for an hour about their mechanics. It's literally putting them up against a fence and just being like, come over the top. Because if you come out here, you're going to hit the fence every time. But if you come over the top, you're not. And then even if I get a 3/4 balance, I'm happy with that. But it's years and years of coaching experience to get those little drills.
Yeah.
And that's just my opinion on it. I think if you're going to be a coach, great, but know your limits.
Totally. Yeah, I agree.
And then we have the same shit, different packaging. I love that comment.
I love that.
It's so true.
Yep.
What do you think's going to make a comeback this year?
Ooh, I know it's hard to say because it's like, we've talked about this before, like keto, low carb, Atkins, all that shit is the same, right? Yeah. It's just kind of, repackaged a little differently. Yeah, F45, Orange Theory, Barry's Boot Camp. It's all kind of the same.
Yep, knockoffs from CrossFit.
Yep. Yeah. God, which I heard Kuwait's getting a Soul Cycle too. I think there's a lot of spinning is making a big show coming up. Same shit. What's going to make a comeback? What are some old blasts from the past? I can think of like the
fanny packs.
Fanny packs?
I hope fanny packs.
Oh, those already have. We sell those at Lulu and they go crazy. Oh my God. I wear one every day at work. Those already have.
All right. MC Hammer pants with the tank top. With like the Jimmy String tank tops. You know what I'm talking about?
God.
Like the whole 90s look will come back. Shake weight, maybe?
Oh God, the shake weight.
Oh no, the Bowflex. You can do it all with just
That's what I was trying to think of, was like the Thigh Master. I know, right? All that kind of shit.
The Thigh Master is easy to come back every 5 or 6 years. The Bowflex. You could get it all.
I want Taibo to come back.
What is Taibo? Like, what is it, karate?
You never did Taibo?
I never did Taibo. I did not fall down that rabbit hole.
It was Billy Blanks, I think was his name. And it was like little DVDs that you put in as like little kickboxing videos. God, that shit was so much fun. He was so motivational. I hope that comes back. I'm going to, as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to Google and see what he's up to, where he went. There's some other comebacks. I feel like fashion, it's hard to say because I feel like there's already so many things that I see all decades. Like now everybody is wearing everything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm thinking like exercise wise. I honestly think I'm kind of waiting for I think the bro split, the traditional bro split is dead, but I'm thinking people are going to go back to the basics again. Like what Arnold had in his encyclopedia. I just think it's getting too crazy. The movements are getting too crazy these days, where I think people are just going to go back to the squat, the deadlift, overhead press, bench press, and the row. The row, do not forget the row. Like the row is my favorite.
And that's what's funny is because I feel like, as far as like functional movement go, or back to the basics of things of squat, pull, press, I feel like that's an area that I've already been pretty submerged in over the last 2 years. But when I talk about it with people who are kind of in the mainstream, big Globo gyms or Lifetime type facilities, it is a new concept for a lot of them still. So I don't know. That's why I think of the Move Natural. It's like just back to the basics of, getting back to squatting and pulling and more of those functional movements throughout the day in your daily activity. So it kind of tags on with the minimalism lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, maybe some kind of a blend between minimalism and fitness, minimalist fitness routine.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. How about this one? Kuwait will develop a spa treatment to get a CrossFit body without doing CrossFit. I love that one. I totally love that one. They're already doing it. They have ab implants. They have chest implants, calf implants, bicep implants. They're already doing it here. People always want the easy way out. They've tried and develop the magic pill. They'll get it sooner or later. But
line you cut out there for a little bit. All I heard was calf implants.
All right. Well, yeah, they'll get it eventually. It's going to happen. Everyone's looking for the easy way out. Boom in fitness in Asia. What do you think of that one?
Boom in fitness in Asia. I think it's definitely, it's funny. One of the guys who had started at the gym with me in Kuwait, and then I think he was in Singapore for a little bit and then Vietnam. He was out there doing the CrossFit scene in Vietnam. So yeah, I think now he's in Costa Rica, I think, but I don't know. I feel like there may be some things happening over there.
I would agree.
Catching on.
I would definitely agree. All right. So what's your prediction? Like you have one prediction. What's going to be your big prediction of 2019? 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
I think more research coming out, or maybe not even research, but I think just more stories of people who have been trying out like a vegan lifestyle or a carnivore lifestyle and finding that it's not sustainable or that the benefits wear off.
Yeah.
I think that's one. I think that it's caught a lot of hype in this last year and people are trying to move a little bit more towards it. But I think, I don't know, and maybe it's still too early for something like that. I think it's kind of, after a few years, something like that happens. Either that or the only other thing I can think of, and this is only because I've been seeing a few more lately, is the whole vaccine debate of what issues they cause and are they healthy for kids? I see that kind of taking off again.
Yeah. I could probably see that taking off. But I mean, people have to understand the guy who based his research, like it was all fabricated. At least that's through the research that I've done when it came to vaccines, when we were thinking of not vaccinating DJ. And when we found that shit out, that's when we're like,
right.
Oh, hold on. The guy who wrote the paper lied about this shit. So we were like, no, we're going to do the vaccinations. And you've seen like weird diseases popping back up. And it's because people aren't vaccinating their kids.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I was just listening to a podcast the other day about it, and it talked about ways that the government used to not vaccinate, but they would offer vaccines in like really low income, poor neighborhoods, rough neighborhoods and things. And they would offer like vaccinations. And it was basically knowing that there was risk for death and things. And it was kind of as a way of experimental, research, basically knowing that there may be risks and things like that. So I don't know. That was with, I forget the name of the guy, but it was a CIA expert that was doing an interview on that. And I've just seen a lot more of it, of cases of families kind of being paid off under the table to not bring up stories and things. But again, it's who knows the truth on either side? This is where it gets so hard, especially when government's in control of it. You never freaking know. But I just kind of wonder if that debate's going to take off again, just because I've been seeing more and more stories lately and more topics about it. So I wonder if that's something that's coming up. I know Ben Greenfield did an episode this year about that, about spacing out the vaccines for kids.
Yeah.
And benefits of that, maybe. Yeah. Compared to doing them all at once. But those are kind of some of the health things I've had on my radar a little bit. But I think the benefits of vegan or carnivore dying off for people. And I think it's just going from that highly processed diet, switching over from one of those things. If you go from a highly processed diet to eating better quality meat, great, you're definitely going to feel great.
Yeah.
You go from highly processed food and you switch over to being vegan, 100% you're going to feel better. But after how many years does that last? Is it sustainable? Totally. I don't know.
Totally, dude. No, I totally agree with you. I think that's a good one. I think that's definitely good. Mine is a controversial one. It is the death of CrossFit.
The death of CrossFit.
I think CrossFit has been in a decline it's been flat for 2 years in the States. And from what I've read, it's been mixed reviews. And I think it's in a decline in the United States. And now I think they're coming out and saying it's declining internationally too. It's nowhere as big as it used to be. If you watch videos from 2011, 12, 13, and 14, the stadium was packed. They had people at the events. And if you look at, dude, Dubai, there was no one there. It looked like a ghost town. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, really? For DFC?
Yeah, it didn't look like it was packed. If you have a stadium and you got big names, it should be packed. You should have a ton of people. Even if you're giving out tickets for free, pack up the stadiums, dude. Make it look like a buzz. If you make it look good, everyone's going to be interested. But even in the States, if you look at the games last year, I don't think you had the turnout that it used to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I'll definitely talk about that with some people on both ends and kind of get their perspective, because I only see it through the social lens. I haven't been to either of those events this last year, but I do know that the whole decision for switching away from the structure of regionals and all that kind of stuff was to put more focus on the CrossFit health side of things. And so it's turning more to healthcare professionals. So doctors, and giving them the education on nutrition and fitness. Yeah. And offering that kind of support. That is the direction that Glassman wants to take it. So if there is a decline, I would say in that, but maybe we'll see a growth in healthcare quality.
Yeah.
Or I don't know exactly where that's going to go.
But look at the movements. If you look at the movement patterns from before to the movement patterns now in the game, the Open and everything, the Open this year and last year, I think 2019.19 and 20, I think the Opens were a little bit easier than previous years, but the overall movements you see in the games, normal people can't do that shit anymore. You know what I mean? Like you watch 2011, 2012, their max lift was a deadlift. You know what I mean? Like they had max out lifts that was a deadlift.
Right.
They had a run with the carrying a dummy. They had hay jumps. They had whatever. Whereas now it's like friggin' 20 ring muscle ups, 30, 50-foot handstand walks, and they're turning it into something that the average person simply can't do.
Yeah.
So I think their programming went away from that in terms of the games and giving people that incentive to do the Open. Kuwait had an extremely low number of Open participants this year. James Wright brought that up. He was like, dude, what's going on with Kuwait? Like, there's nowhere near as many participants in the male Open. I was like, yeah, I never even looked at it that way. So
I wonder.
I just think it's turned too competitive from the Open. Whereas, I mean, when they used to do it before, they'd have hundreds of thousands of people doing it. Like, I wonder what the decline was in this year's Open compared to last year and the year before that.
It's funny because I was in regionals before they even had an Open. The first year of the Open, I think that was in 2012.
Yeah.
I think it was, or 2011, maybe. No, the first year sectionals was in 2011, I think. It was one of those, 2010 or 2011. And then the Open started in 2011 or 2012. I can't remember. But yeah, the first 2 years when I went to regionals, it was like our craziest movement was a kipping pull-up.
Exactly, though.
And then I think 2012, was when it started getting crazy. And that's when I dropped off, and it kind of had to become basically a full-time job for training. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it may look like it's dying just because of the direction of where they're putting all their attention and where it is going towards. But I know definitely affiliates in the States. I mean, this is something that hadn't been talked about, I think, for a long time. The number was always focused on how many affiliates were open. And there were thousands of them that were constantly opening up in the States, but nobody was ever talking about the number that were closing down.
Yeah.
And I think that was just a lot of people not being, probably the same transition that we're talking about, people becoming more coaches than athletes. It was people jumping into owning a business, and they weren't, prepared for the programming, the operating of the business, the coaching, the classes, the cleaning, you had it was like a one-man show at a lot of these places, and a lot of people just not prepared or being able to sustain that hectic lifestyle of running a gym like that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, that's totally true. And you see it here. A couple of boxes have closed down over the last year. And I think more are set to close down. I agree with you. I think it's great they're going towards the health side of it. I think it's amazing. I just think they need to bring it back to its roots. And when I say bring it back to its roots, bring it back to the guys that used to participate. Like the guy that does work 9 to 5 and wants to go do a CrossFit class and be competitive and actually. And I think
the gyms that are thriving are the ones that are focusing on that. I think they are very focused on the general health and wellness. I think those are the gyms that are surviving. I think it's the ones that probably had a lot of focus on competition and kind of that elitist mentality with it. I think those are the ones that won't survive or haven't survived.
I agree with you. I agree. I think that's a great point. And the part of that community feel too. I think
totally.
It's when they focus on the community, like, dude, you go to CrossFit Southie, it's a community. Like everyone's there, everyone's friends. Oh, you go to Invictus Boston, everyone's friends, everyone knows everybody, everyone's really nice. And same thing with CrossFit New England. Here in Kuwait, I saw that when I walked into Grit Kuwait, I thought they were the nicest group of guys I ever met, to be honest with you.
What gym was that?
Grit or CrossFit Kuwait. I think they changed to Grit, but CrossFit Kuwait.
They changed to Grit? Okay.
Yeah. Real great group of guys. They were wicked nice when I walked in, and it felt great. That was cool. That was pretty cool. It reminded me when I was in the States and shit,
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I predict the death of CrossFit. I think it's slowly dying. And they don't know how to revive the games and everything. You're not going to make money. You switch. They took out regionals for these sanctional events because they're probably not making money. They're running at a loss every year. So CrossFit doesn't want to assume the burden anymore.
Yeah.
And it just makes sense. But
maybe it's the death of group fitness and group classes.
Oh, I hope so, dude.
They kind of started it. Now I would say they started it, but that was seeming a big draw to it. That's kind of what inspired things like, Orange Theory and Barry's Bootcamp and all that. What about influencers? What's our prediction for 2020 in that whole industry?
I think influencers.
Social media influencers.
Yeah. What's yours? I'll tell you mine.
I don't think they're going to get the payouts and contracts that they have before. I think it's kind of like bloggers. I think if you were in it at the right time, you can probably maintain on that. But I think anybody new trying to get into it, I think it's definitely a dying path.
Yeah. And I think their dying path is going to be like, they're slowly going to get found out for like the bullshit and being assholes. Like, dude, I bumped into an influencer who definitely doesn't like me. And that person gave me a nudge, believe it or not. I'll tell you the whole story later. I'm not going to talk about it on the show.
Yeah, I can't.
But like, it was pretty tense. And it's just like, I mean, I know I've talked shit about every influencer in Kuwait. I don't deny it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But because some of them aren't peddling the right ideas. And you got to listen to the episode we did with Dr. D. Abolish. I found out that an influencer was charging like 4,000 KD to help a nonprofit organization. Can you believe that shit?
That's bullshit. Yeah.
So I think
bullshit.
CSR might be a big thing. And I'm going to try and make it a big thing. Like, I'm going to talk about how influencers don't do enough corporate social responsibility shit. And they need to. Like, that's who I would back up. If you gave me an influencer that was talking about renewing the playgrounds or doing something for people with diabetes or whatever it may be, or the Abolish program, I would back them
actually
100%.
Influencing.
Yeah. Not, buy
agree.
this shaker or buy fucking these pants that I'm wearing or
do what me and my trainer do, but also I had surgery.
I know, right? And dude, your trainer's a douchebag, all right?
Yeah.
Like, I hope he listens to this show. I hope it's a hate listen, all right? He knows I'm talking about him. And you know the trainer I'm talking about. He is a douchebag, a numero uno douchebag.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I didn't say any names, so I can't get sued.
How about podcasting predictions for 2020? How many new podcasts do you think are going to come up, or what's going to be the major trend there?
See, I think Kuwait's a tough market. My opinion is they won't stick it out for the long haul because they don't understand that one
slow
listen.
Growth.
Yeah, that's podcasting though. You look at the great podcasts; they didn't make it big until after like 6, 5, 7, 8, 9 years or 5 years,
and it's still fairly new. I mean, it is. There's a lot of them out there, but it's still fairly new. Yeah.
And dude, honestly, like someone asked me the other day, they're like, "Oh, why do you podcast?" And I said, "Because I want to bring the right information to people. I want to get people on our show." And we want to educate people, that's the important thing.
I want to help people feel empowered to make better decisions for themselves, or at least, have some resources when they are struggling with decisions that come to, your health, your happiness, your relationships, whatever it is. And that's what we set out.
No, exactly. And here, I think it's going to turn into more of a trend. I don't even think it's going to turn into a trend because it's slow growth. No one can deal with that.
Yeah.
And you've seen some people drop off. And it's like, I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a couple other new podcasts that have popped up. I hope they do well. And if they ever need anything, I would never say no to helping out with anything. Because the more podcasts that pop up is the better for everybody. Because everyone's going to learn how to download a podcast, listen to it, funnel out the good information and the bad information. And I'm pretty confident that we're good. Like we have good guests that come on that offer value. And you just look through our episodes, look through all the people that have come on, and every one of them has offered a good takeaway, from the heart doctor to Faisal Sultan to Haya Shadhan.
They teach you something in every episode.
Oh yeah, dude. And that's what I love about our job. That's what I love about this.
We learn.
I know, dude.
It's like Thursday morning for me. I'm like, it's like going to school. I get excited.
But anyways, I think we can wrap it up right there.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. You can also find us on Instagram at The Project Kuwait. Thank you, and join us next time.